So today I'm going to be teaching on the topic of using Facebook to promote your events. In-person events, absolutely, but I think we're all pretty aware at this point that using Zoom for events is not going away anytime soon. Even if we can meet together, there is certainly much to be said about digital events as well. So this applies across the board to events both in person and online. I have 5 steps for you actually. And I do have a PDF document that will be yours to do what you want with. So if you don't feel like taking notes right now, you don't have to, because I have all of this documented for you. And I'll be sharing that along with the recording to make your life easy. I wanted to talk about Facebook events because, to tell you the truth, people have often inboxed me and said, I want to figure out how you use events. You're so good at it. I'm like, oh, thank you. I've been using Facebook events for a long time, both for my work in diocesan ministry, also in parish ministry, and for marketing my own events as an entrepreneur. I've used Facebook events. So I've enjoyed welcoming and meeting hundreds of people literally through Facebook events. And I hope that I help you to do the same thing in your context. So the first step I'm going to encourage you to think about, I have little catchy steps for all 5. The first one is, it's all in the name. Seasons and themes matter. So I'm not going to go into too much about the tech stuff about how to build an event on Facebook. Many of you have already explained how you can Google, how do I start an event on Facebook? Google will teach you, or YouTube will teach you anything you need to know. And Facebook is a constantly evolving platform. So even if I told you how to do the event now, next week, if there's an update to Facebook, it may be different. So there's really no point in me doing that. We're not going to talk about the tech. We're going to talk about more the creative side and the marketing side. So it's all in the name. Facebook is going to invite you the minute that you click create an event on Facebook, it asks you to create a name. So that's the first thing you're going to need to do. Take some time to consider the name. So I have an example of what I'm going to be. I created an event, an example that I just made up off the top of my head. So imagine you're doing a parish cleanup. You might write, oh, let's call this a parish cleanup day. It's been called that since like 1975. It's our parish cleanup day, and we're going to write that in the Facebook. But I'm going to challenge you to maybe not call it a parish cleanup day. Maybe we're going to think in terms of seasons and trends. Maybe think in terms of creating a little bit of curiosity because we're doing something new. Maybe for my example, I was going to go with like a Go Green Day. So maybe we could host that day around Earth Day or around St. Patrick's Day. Everybody could wear green, for example. So that might be a little bit of an original twist, considering trends or themes as an inspiration. As a culture, we love the season. That's something that we're all leaning into seasons. So how can your event be a little bit more seasonal? And how can it have a name that's easy to find, that's catchy, and that's just not the same one that we've used every other time we've hosted this event? So it's easy and it's cost effective. Think about the seasons when you're marketing and creating a title for your event. Go Green Day, community outreach for the whole family. That's what it could say. It could take place, like I said, close to Earth Day. Very, very, very eco-friendly. And maybe you could even serve like a plant-based Irish stew and some green tea. Anyway, you're feeling it. The name of your event is setting you up for something that is a little bit different and maybe hasn't been done before. I'm going to keep my eye on the chat. So if you have anything to say it in the chat and I'll keep on referring to that. All right. So step 1 was, it's all in the name. Seasons and themes matter. And don't be afraid to take a risk. Okay. Step 2, image is everything. So image is everything. What do I mean by that? I mean, you need to choose and upload an image to the Facebook event. It's the next thing they ask you to do. Choose and upload an image. You could use a photograph. You could consider palette, design, font. These are all things that come to mind when we're thinking of the image of your event. Good designs, of course, are simple and clear and uncluttered. So if we were doing a Go Green Day, I'm actually going to share my screen and show you a very, very quick Canva graphic that I created for free. And literally, I didn't even create it, actually. Truth, I went to Canva and I clicked in green and they gave me the template and I just plugged in I just plugged in what I wanted to do. So there's the graphic, like Go Green, a community cleanup day in the heart of Montreal with a little church. They didn't have a church there. I'm like, oh, I'm a church, just plug in the church. So Canva's free. It's an app, takes a little bit of time to figure out how to use, but there are many resource templates that you can use that are free and easy. So go grab this literally in 3 seconds. Yeah, not complicated. You could do it. Anybody can do it. So that's an example of the image being very, very important. People are looking to see like, can I relate to that color? Is it something I want to be a part of? You could really reinvent the image of your church just by creating a graphic that's a little bit updated or just different. Maybe, I had no idea that church was involved in environmental justice. That's something that appeals to me and my kids. I might want to get involved in that Go Green cleanup day. Right? Yeah, you can also go to Unsplash. We've talked about Unsplash before. Unsplash is another free, there's images, beautiful high resolution images that you can download and throw up on your event for free. You can also throw that image onto the Canva and add some words that might help to just spice it up and make it a bit more unique to your context. Okay, so Canva and Unsplash are two of the resources I would suggest when designing an image for your Facebook event. Moving right along to step number 3. Clarity and consistency are key. So in the Facebook event, it's going to invite you now to describe your event. This is what I'm going to refer to as the copy. You're going to be creating some copy that's clear and concise, and it's informative. I want you to make sure that you're not just going to say like a parish cleanup day. We've been doing it since 1975, and it's a really good idea. Like you need to say what it is, why it matters, who it's for. There needs to be some passion behind this description. So again, not too many words, because everybody has a limited time span. They're going to give you like 3 seconds. And if you don't hook them in 3 seconds, they're going to go to the next guy's parish cleanup day and maybe do that. So it's got to be really, really short and to the point. And it's got to show the passion behind why you're doing this. It's got to have meaning, right? So I created a little bit of, I created a sample for what I might say off the top of my head if I was hosting a Go Green Day. So the Go Green Day, a community outreach for the whole family, is an opportunity for you to come together and do something meaningful. This Earth Day, we're inviting you to join us for an afternoon of fellowship and fun in a spirit of care for the environment. We will be serving a light, earth-friendly bite to eat using compostable plates and cups. This is an all-ages, rain or shine event, so dress appropriately. And if you can, wear green, be green. Location, schedule, contact person. Boom. I'm going to grab that copy, and it's going to be on my website. It's going to be on Facebook posts. It's going to be in my newsletter. It's going to be in my bulletin. That's going to be your consistent, clear, and concise copy that's going to travel all over the place. It's going to start with your Facebook event, and you're going to grab that information so that you keep it clear and concise and throw it up anywhere that you do any kind of communicating in your church context. You might consider a hashtag. A hashtag is a great way to be able to create a kind of like a hub where you come back to that hashtag, and all the information about the event on all the posts you've created will be in one place. This hashtag, for example, might read Go Green St. Paul's MTL 22. Obviously, there's no St. Paul's MTL 22. I'm just, you feel me, but Go Green St. Paul's MTL 22 could be a hashtag, and that would accompany every post that you do on Facebook and generate a little bit more excitement. How's everybody doing so far? Am I moving too quickly? Is there anything you need to say? I will unmute. I'll mute myself and let you. I'll just wait. If you have anything to say, you can say it now before we move on. Are we okay? Okay, good. We're all still awake, alive, alert. Okay, sweet. I will move along then. I see thumbs up. Thanks for that. Okay, brilliant. Step number 4. We're getting there. Sharing is caring. So once you have created this event on Facebook, this is actually when the event begins. People think the event begins on the day of the thing, but no, actually, I want you to start thinking about this Facebook event. Like the minute you create it, that is the first time people learn about it. Therefore, they are engaging into a relationship with you and your church and how they might want to meaningfully interact with this day, or even if they'll show up at all. Because you have the people, you might click going. How many times have we all done it? You click going on an event, and you're like, I might go, I might not go. But it's the organizer's job to continue to hook you in to actually follow through and go from the time you click like until the day of the thing, so that something else better doesn't come up. Because like I said, we all have an attention span of about 3 seconds. So we need to make sure that we make it worth people's while. So you create the event. Like our major mistake is that we create the event and we're like, good, I'm done. Whoa, that was fine. Nope. Your work has just begun. Now you need to start using that Facebook event actually as a community on its own. You can use the discussion board in there to post links, to inspire engagement, to ask questions, to invite people to also contribute and participate. But you are the organizer, and it's your job to host that community within the community of Facebook. So it becomes a little bit of a sort of group. I have to say that's been one of the key ways that I've been able to generate success and build momentum. It's by using that discussion feature within the Facebook event. But the buck doesn't stop there. I mean, yes, within the group, it's very important. That's where you might have 10, 20, 30, 50, 100, if you're lucky, people in your event. But you're going to be using your regular Facebook page, your church's Facebook or your own Facebook, and you're going to be taking the URL from the event and linking it to your posts. If this sounds overwhelming, it's not. Does it sound overwhelming? Do we understand? No, good. I like the head shaking. Great. Okay, yeah. So you're going to be like doing this on the regular. Continue to market and communicate and share information about the event on the regular in your usual Facebook to direct people to the event. That event needs to be shared. That URL needs to be shared on your website, in your newsletter, in an email campaign, so that you're constantly redirecting people to the Facebook event so they can click going, so that your membership will grow and that you can keep on building that momentum on the inside and on the outside. Is that that's logical? Okay, great. I like it. So sharing is caring, and you're not alone here. I mean, it's really, we're a community. It takes a village, as they say, to do these things. So you need to also reach out to your rector, reach out to your music director. You need to reach out to the children's ministry person and every single member of your parish and be like, hey, I'm doing this thing and I need you to help me along with it, because you cannot do it alone. So other people's involvement and their posts, and even just sharing the stuff that you're putting out there, which is a very easy thing to do. You just click the share button. You're not asking for anybody to be a creative. Just click the share button, but really get your people involved so that the sharing and caring doesn't just stop with you. Did I cover all that stuff? Yes, I think I did. I put some examples of sharing. Yes, I said all that. Great. Okay, step 5. Probably the most important thing that I want you to come away with today is step 5. So step 5 is telling the story. So if there's no story that you have to tell, then your event is just like any other day on the calendar and nobody's going to take notice. But you need to really perceive your event as a story, and you need to tell that story in your own unique way about your own unique event as you do the promo for this event, right? So the story in the case of the Go Green Day would be that the environment matters, and that one of the organizers, whoever that is, has enough passion to be able to take their time and energy and translate it into something tangible for people to come together and participate in. like there's a story there. There's a heart and a soul behind whoever it is that has that passion. And we need to harness that energy to tell that story, either through poetry, art, photographs, written word, spoken word. I don't know. I am not going to tell you how to tell that story because there's no one right way. But as unique as your story is, the process of telling that story can easily, should easily follow suit, right? So it's a story. Tell that story. Use all of the creative means that you have to tell that story, and that will hook people into wanting to be a part of the story of your event. The good news is for you, I did create an editorial calendar as a sample, and I'm going to give it to you so that I have examples of exactly how you can do this. So you don't have to do this. You don't have to come up with all the ideas yourself. You're going to have examples from me. Good storytelling, though, there are some principles to consider, like all stories have a beginning, a middle, and an end. So just keeping that in mind as you tell your story, like, you know, that's basically the only structure I'm going to leave you with, because the rest is up to you and your original event and your original story. Okay, so let's just take a look at the digital calendar, the sample digital calendar that I created for you. I have a 2-week digital calendar that you could use at any point during the communication of your Facebook event. And I'm going to just quickly run through the calendar, and then I'm going to, then we'll have some interactive opportunity to maybe put some of this into motion. We can brainstorm ideas together. But let's just start with, so again, we're on the Go Green. St. Paul's MTL22 is my hashtag. I'm going to include this hashtag every time I do a post on Facebook for the 2 weeks prior to, let's say in this case, prior to the event. So on a Monday, I'm going to do a short bio and a pic of the organizer. Let's just say in this case, the organizer is me. I'm going to say like, hey, I'm Leanne. I'm hosting this thing. I'm hosting this amazing day. It's not a thing. I'm not going to be glib. I'm going to be really excited because I want you to join me. So I'm Leanne. I'm hosting because I'm really passionate about climate justice. And my background is, I'm a person who really, really values climate justice. And I want to do this in community with you. I'm going to invite you to come. I'm going to say the kids are welcome, families are welcome, but I'm going to say a little bit more about me so that people can connect to a person and an idea. That would be like, that's the first thing I would do. And we need you, always a call to action. We need you. We need you because we can't do these things alone. We need to do this in community. On the Tuesday, I'm going to put an inspirational article or a quote on climate. I found one, just a quick Google search here from Fred Rogers. It says, if you were a fish, you wouldn't want somebody dumping garbage into your home. Every fish is fancy in one way or another. There's something fancy about every creature in the world, each person, each fish, each animal, each bird, each living creature. Fred Rogers. Okay, then you do a little bit about what you're hosting, and that post just tends to just draw people in towards thinking about climate, about social justice, and about climate change. Wednesday, a blog post, a poem on the importance of community and climate action by a child or a youth member in the community. So now we're trying to widen our net here, tell the story about how this event might impact not only you as an individual, but also your community. Obviously, children are the most impacted by climate change and as family, they have the most at stake in this conversation. So let's see if we can maybe ask a local school to please collab with us. We are hosting this thing. The kids can come and they can do their community outreach hours. Would they also be able to make a contribution by writing a post or by making some art or a poem on the topic? It's a very relevant topic, so I don't think it should be too hard to get something like that to happen. Okay, on the Thursday, now we need to get your rector involved, right? You're not in this alone. We need to get your rector to create a call to action, a pic of your rector, a picture, and Go Green Day. The rector needs you. And why is this important to your rector? Obviously, as Christians, the climate movement should be very important to us because we are stewards of creation after all, and that should be a high priority. So it shouldn't be too hard to get your rector to say something that is relevant and that is inspiring and that moves people to take action and to come to your Go Green Day. On the Friday, a quote on the positive impacts of a plant-based diet. You may have remembered that we are serving that a plant-based Irish stew, right? And we need to know, why is it important to eat plant-based? Very fun. Grab a recipe from the internet, super easy, throw it up. That is suddenly a post that's, oh, that's cool. That's right. Why is that? A little bit of self-reflection. Okay, can I maybe try Vegan Fridays as a way of whatever, just getting people thinking and hooked in. Saturday, a bio and pick of a key volunteer. Another call to action from somebody else. We need you. Who else also cares? People see people and their passion is contagious. So the more passionate people who are promoting your Go Green Day, the more likely other people will be to follow suit. On the Sunday, we're going to get your rector again. They're somebody who is very important to leverage the leaders in your community. Get them to preach on the topic of this event on stewardship of the environment. And you will record it. It could be a video or a PDF, but you need their sermon and you need it to be up on your event, and you need it to be linked to your event to, again, encourage people to be a part of it. I'm not going to go through the next week. The rest, there's more stuff there. I feel like I'm talking too much and I want to hear more from you. I want to make sure that we're okay here. I'm going to stop talking and just see how you're doing, see if this resonates. Let me know how you are. Okay, thumbs up. That's great. Yep. Is it a lot? Is it not enough? What is it?
It's plenty.
Okay.
It would just be nice if I had a little more active parish. Mm-hmm. And seeing as how we don't own the building, there it's kind of hard to have activities outside of service time. Let's put it that way. And having said all that, I'm going to have to go because I've got to go back to work, unfortunately.
Thank you.
It's been fun.
Good. Thank you, John. Thank you so much.
Take care.
You too.
Next time.
Yeah, for sure. Anybody else? Is it a lot? Is it not enough? Is it too much so far? Could you see yourself being able to do something like this? Have you done something like this? Is this all like, oh yeah, I do this all the time?
I'll say something if you like.
I love.
If you don't have a lot of activities going on in your parish, especially right now, given we're limited as to what we can do, something that Reverend Neil has started us doing was posting your service as an event. And it's a good way to remind everyone. You can put the theme of the service. So if it's depending on the season on the Anglican calendar, it'll remind people, hey, there's church on Sunday. Was it in person or is it streaming live? All that information can be on there. And then one thing that I did to try and encourage people to use the Facebook page was to, when I was in my meetings in the various little groups that I'm involved in, ask them, hey, if you want to put an event on the Facebook page, speak to Neil, speak to myself, we can put the event on for you, but do us a favor and like and comment on those events, share them to your page, but on the page itself, like if I post some upcoming praise songs, like it and put a comment, and it'll encourage people, because it's always nobody else said anything, so I don't want to be the first person. But one of the things that I do is I'll post something sometimes as an administrator, then I'll change to my own profile and I'll like it and I'll make a comment just to get the ball rolling, if you know what I mean.
Okay, I am so motivated by that. I love that. It's such a good idea. And I feel like we can also learn a lot from our own interactions with social. So like many of us, I like to use Facebook. I like to use social pages. And I also notice like what makes me pay attention and what makes me tune off. And then I'm like, okay, when I'm making something, I don't want to be the thing that makes me tune off. So I've seen a lot of these things, Helen, where people will post their service as an event. But what hooks me with what you just said was that you posted not just the event, because if you do the same thing, like just come to church on Sunday, like why don't I want to go to church on Sunday? You're saying because here's the theme and here's what's in it for you. Like the what's in it for you thing is so essential. Like, because I do not pay attention. If people, I see all the time, I get invited to go to a church service on a Sunday, which the exact same image and the exact same, and nothing's happening for me. Like I don't go. But if I saw what you just did, I'd be like, oh, well, that's a bit more of an incentive for me to go. Thanks.
And it really works. It was Neil that started us doing it. And I think that our participation on the Facebook streaming was higher because of it.
Love it. Thank you for that.
Just for what you talked earlier about creating Canva images, and I just want to say that, like, even I've learned how to do Canva, and it is free. And you don't need a degree in graphic arts to use Canva.
But it makes you look like you have a degree in graphic arts.
It looks like it.
I don't have one either.
I got images here, like I got lots. And it's easy, it's fun. But I mean, a lot of churches end up putting these generic pictures, either a clapped out sort of picture, or they kind of go to, you can Google, Psalm 23 and just put it up. But actually creating your own images, it's like, wow, as you said, that's interesting. Cool. There's someone alive there.
Yeah.
And have fun. You can have fun.
That's the ticket, right, Neil? Because if you're not having fun, then you're not even gonna do it. Like the whole thing is you have to lean into oh, this feels creative for me, it feels rich for me. Yeah. And if it doesn't, then find another way for you to express yourself. But this is a very creative role. The communications roles are very creative. Cool. Any other? Yes, I see a hand. Yay, Patricia.
I have just two things I just want to bring up. It's really good and it's important to encourage other people to get involved. But this goes back to the problem with Zoom. Our congregations are so comfortable at home, and they've made it known they're not coming back anytime soon. So there's very few people to encourage to help in anything. It's become very routine to just tune in on Sunday mornings. And that's really unfortunate. And I think one of the first hurdles we have to do is try and get them back into the building. And just one other sort of general question about Facebook. When you have a Facebook page, does it need cleaning up every so often? I mean, some posts on it, there's a lot of some people I know, just their personal Facebook page, you can go back to almost to the day they were born. I mean, they just have so much on Facebook. And is there a value to keep stuff on or do cleanups and keep pertinent things on? But is housekeeping an important part of working with Facebook and the web?
I want to respond to your first, I'll give others an opportunity to respond to Patricia as well, but I would like to respond to the idea of returning back to the building. And I think that's why I also came up with the Go Green Day. I think one of the ways, if we want to encourage people to come back, maybe we don't need to start by going inside. Maybe we could start by outside to break the ice. And maybe that's a bit lower in terms of the ask, because, and especially we're giving them food. So give people something, a very particular thing to eat and drink, like in my case, I don't know if you got there, but it was like hot green tea or cold green tea with a plant-based stew. But so you're giving them something and you're kind of not ask them to just come to church. It's going to be hard, Patricia, I agree, getting back into the building. So maybe being a bit more creative around what returning to church looks like was my first point. And then in my opinion, this is just my opinion, people often use Facebook as sort of like a scrapbook of their life, and they would like to keep it there in order to access memories. Facebook always gives you the option to look back, and it sort of ends up being a really nice way of you kind of keeping a little diary. So most people do not go back, and it's nice to have a kind of inventory of your past there. People usually, other than ourselves, don't scroll back and look what you've been up to forever a while back. So you could easily leave it there and save yourself the extra trouble. That's my opinion. Anybody else would like to dive in? I'm listening, or we could, there might be another, you might have another opinion on that. Or even on the back to church thing. I mean, I'll just throw out also that in June, which hasn't really formally been said yet, but it's going to be in the paper, and we're about to launch this, that we are hosting a family day in person, outside, with a bouncy castle, where we're all invited to just be together and you don't have to sit in a church pew. But you just, we do need to get reacclimatized to being together and just to celebrating church family. So that is what we're doing as a way of saying, welcome back.
I really appreciate what you've said and what Helen has said also, because what we are trying to do is to reach out to the wider community. And the idea of creating a type of an event that just lets more people in the community know that we actually exist, because we're on a secondary highway, so people go by pretty darn fast. So yes, the idea of having a type of event that appeals to the wider community, whether it's a soup day in the hall or something like that, a picnic as they always used to have on the front lawn for the families. I'm really encouraged by the idea of creating these events so that we can get the feeling of life coming back into our small church.
Okay, that's great. I think it was it Susan at the beginning of our session was wondering about the efficacy of Facebook and websites for churches. Was that you, Susan, who asked that question? You're wondering if anybody had anything to say about if Facebook or websites work.
Yeah, just this morning, the minister was not sure how much. I basically said I think they can be overused, but they can be underused as well. There's a kind of balance, especially when you're on limited time. You only got so much time to spend on that kind of thing, and then you have to do other stuff. So for me, there's a lot of other things to do, and it's a volunteer who's dealing with the website, but he's not doing a lot. And so the question is, we want to do a bit more, but how much more is worth it, really? I have posted, at one point I did have access to it, and I would sometimes post things when we had concerts, but it's been changed now so that I don't have access anymore. So I don't know.
Well, I'm just going to say that, first of all, you're speaking to somebody who does digital communications all the time. So I'm going to say, yes, it has tons of merit, but statistically and otherwise, it really using digital communications is the way that we communicate with, particularly with new people. So our existing members, of course, they do matter and they do need to be honored. And I recall that it was one of you who was using the phone as your primary means of who was using the phone. Yeah, Kate, right? So, I mean, and sometimes we can't always, use the internet because not every community has the internet, and the phone is still the highest tech that we can go, and that's fair and that's honest and that's crucial. But for recruiting new members or donors or anything, Facebook, and even though Facebook's always under controversy for breaches of privacy and for not attracting young people, Facebook is still the #1 way to connect with people, new people and existing people. It's still the most widely used platform. It's free and it's easy. And I would say invest your time and energy in it, and it will yield a return for your congregation.
Yeah, we have a lot of internal communication challenges to deal with too, which might need to be dealt with first. But the Women's Guild did manage in the last year to have a couple of events which were quite successful. You know, their sales, they're well known for their sales here. So.
Yeah, and not every Facebook page and not every website is created equal. I mean, obviously, the better, the more that you apply the principles that we've talked about here, the more, for example, or any basic principles that you could find about good Facebook and website practices, the more effective that your communication will be. So it's not just, a build it and they will come scenario. It's a do a really good job of it and it will work. Yeah, I see a hand from Gail.
My thought about Patricia's wanting to get people back into the building. Here in Christchurch Fells Corners, we're not having a problem with that because it's a large congregation and we have limited numbers of people that can come in. But I also think that we still have to think about the people that cannot go to church anymore, either because of disabilities or they're just not well enough or mental issues or whatever, but they still want their church. So I think we're stuck now with both parts of the media, YouTube, Facebook, whatever. And I think we need to try to remember that you probably have more congregation often on your social media than you do in building. I think we have to face that now.
Yeah, so true. And I worry about, just that we understand there's probably going to be like a need for a hybrid type of ministry moving forward. But I just worry about the energy that's going to take. So someone's going to have to now navigate a Zoom model as well as an in-person model. So that's going to take certainly some juggling and maybe some sharing of resources, some collaboration. But we'll see as time goes on how we handle it. But I think you're right. We definitely need to honor the Zoomers. Patricia?
Yeah. I do agree. I think we'll have to have some form of hybrid services because there will be people that can't come. But it's getting the ones that can come back. And it's good to have, for instance, I go every day, my husband and I watch Dean Willis from Canterbury Cathedral doing morning prayer. It's been through the pandemic, it's been absolutely wonderful. And I feel like I've got to know him and his cats and all that. And it's wonderful. He doesn't know me because you cannot build relationships over Zoom. Not lasting relation. I know you're going to say possibly, but it's not the same.
Well, not with a celebrity, but like he's a celebrity, right? Like, so I mean,
yeah. I mean, it's a very stretchy example. But what I'm saying is, even Leanne, I've been on these things with you a couple of times. You know who I am. You know where I come from. I know you. But if we stay on this, I'd like to meet you someday because this one-dimensional image that I have of you isn't enough. And especially in a church, in an actual parish, if all you see of another person is a little box with them in it, you do not relate in the same way. So I will say that in our church we have maybe 3 people that come because to Zoom because they can't. The rest of them can. I know they can because they're at the shopping center, they're at the mall, they're at the SAQ, they're everywhere. And I know they're out there, yet it's so easy just to roll off the Chesterfield, turn on the at 11 o'clock in the morning and say, I've been to church. And that's not enough.
I love that you said that. And I'm going to, yes, push back a little. Maybe it's because we're not using the Zoom in a multi-dimensional enough way. So imagine if we set up an opportunity to actually be in meaningful dialogue, to have a prayer session where we share our prayer needs and tell our stories and actually be in proper human relationship that with vulnerability and all the things that entails. This is not like, this is me telling you about Facebook, but if ever you want to, getting to know each other requires much more dimension, as you say. So I don't know, maybe we're just not using Zoom properly, really. I'll just give a quick example of like, I host a ministry that we used to be face-to-face called Supper Club, where we would have food and sit around a big table and pray and have all the things. And then we couldn't do that anymore. So the past 2 years, we've been doing it on here. And we met new people from across Canada who come, and they're friends who I know in all the ways, not just because we have conversations that are rich and dimensional. But I hear you, Patricia, and you're not alone. People, it's hard. Go ahead, Helen.
I'll just try to make it really brief. I've been thinking a lot about what you're saying, and I was one of those people that when we were allowed to go back to church the first time, I did not, because I got comfortable. I got comfortable in my Sunday morning corner of my couch with my coffee. Hubby made me dinner, my breakfast, and I could stay in my pajamas and go to church. So I was worshiping God in the comfort of my own home, and it got really comfortable. And when I had a reason to go because Reverend Michelle was leaving and I wanted to see her in person, and then I was curious about Neil. So I went a couple of times, and being with the people in the building, once you're there, it's like, oh, I've missed you so. Even if I can't get too physically close, it's seeing the more than the one-dimensional. And I think that as things are opening up and as the weather's getting nicer and we start to have events at the church, the cleanup, an outdoor service, a barbecue, something like that, and you post those images on your Facebook page with the event, and people are going to start to see them. Or if they attend, as soon as they get there, well, first of all, they'll feel pretty bad saying, I can't come to church if they came to the event with the free food. But once they're in person, I think that they'll start to say, wow, because sometimes you don't realize you missed something until you're back with it again. And that happened. That was my case, because I didn't realize how much I missed hearing the voices, not through a computer screen, and smelling someone's perfume. And all of those senses were heightened, and I felt love. And being in the building, I felt closer to God, and everybody feels that. But sometimes it's just so much easier to stay in your jammies and watch it on a screen.
Well, Helen, you described it as a discipline when you opened, and I thought that's such a great word, because going to church is a discipline. And yeah, it's true. And it's going to take more discipline for us to actually get into the buildings and do the thing. And we know like that the more people that we see in a day that we actually see and are exposed to, it's really, really healthy for our mental health.
Yes.
I think, Patricia, did you want to say something? No, okay, your hand is still up. Okay. Cool.
Okay. I'd like to say that I really respect and appreciate what you're saying. I think we do have to be careful about how we use Zoom, because yes, it is easy. I have difficulty getting around, and sometimes you have to drive over 3/4 of an hour to get to church. That being said, Having the Zoom church in our region has meant that I've come to know on screen people whose churches are well over an hour away. And what you do have to do is have, and especially now that we're in person again, have days when everybody goes to one particular region to get to the church, because it's essential to be together with people. I do EFM, and we've been on Zoom for much of this year. I desperately miss being in the room with my fellow EFMers. So you're right. I think we will continue to have the two, but we need to figure out, no matter what region we're in, how we can best make sure that the personal contact, the fellowship that's so important to all of us, that there's a way made for it.
I really appreciate how, as parish communicators, how we're coming together to discuss the virtues of face-to-face versus online ministry, because that's a big part of who we are and what we do. And I really respect that we're having this conversation this morning. Are there any other thoughts or comments, let's say, about using Facebook events to promote your event? Anything else I need to answer a question about, or any other feedback about the presentation so far? No. Okay. Is there anybody who hasn't had a chance to say anything, who might like to share a thought, an idea, or a feeling?
I really liked the event starts when you post it. I just think I always love anticipating stuff. It's almost all that prep time that is so, it's a me thing. I really like it, but to think that it's what everybody's doing, and to like build on it, and to consider that other people are also finding hooks and getting excited, and to keep that communication going right from the first. It's not just me having fun, but it could be fun for everybody to participate in. The anticipation I liked that a lot.
Cool. Something I didn't say that just popped into my head around what's essential is timing is so important with that, right? So the timing of when you decide to post it, like not too long, but not too close, just finding that sweet spot. And there's no rule about that, because you know your community, you know your context. You have to lean into that. So what might be the perfect time for my people, and how much lead up time do I need, and how much energy do I have to give to it? But if you do it like 6 months in advance, people are just not going to have the same steam. So if you do it closer, it's almost like, okay, great, I'm going to give them a month, 4 weeks or 2 weeks to just hammer this out. And that might be the sweet spot for you. The timing is everything in all of our posts, curating our posts that are, that just have that they one lends itself to the next, and people are kind of in anticipation. Like, what is she having to say? You're using human curiosity, which we're all curious. That's what storytelling does. Good storytelling is it wants us to invites us into the story. So you can leverage curiosity in your posts. Think about it from that perspective, timing and curiosity. Well, I feel like I'm going to leave you, like I said, with that PDF, with the 2-week sample editorial calendar, with a sample of that graphic, with links to Unsplash, links to Canva. I'm going to give you that. You can do what you want with it. It's yours to share with your peers, to share with other communicators in your context that may also need some support. And this video, of course, will be available too if anybody wants to share that or look at it again for a refresher.